Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we're going to be trying to solve a new mystery, and I think it involves a serial killer, or at least some people being trapped in like this underground basement of a burned down shack. It's pretty interesting. Now, the shack itself is not new. In fact, this is actually something we've covered in a previous video because there's already some pretty interesting stuff in there and a secret stash of money. And in case you guys have no idea where this is, it's right on the Scarlet Meadows, New Hanover border. Technically, it's in Lemoyne. It is this burned down shack called Old Trail Rise. And I'll show you guys where it is on the map right here. I even started a new game, or I went back to one of my earlier saves just to make sure this was going to be here for someone that started a fresh game. So that's why not a lot of the map is showing, but you can see it's Old Trail Rise. If you're looking for it, all you have to do is head directly east from the starting camp, Horseshoe Overlook, and you should find it no problem. Now, like we've covered in the past, on the surface level, it looks like there was some sort of fire that took place here because the walls and most of the structure of the building is burned. However, you will notice that there is this ladder leading to a secret basement, or an underground cellar. Now, there's a couple of miscellaneous things inside of the basement that are pretty cool. There's a throwing knife. There's also a cigarette card. There's a secret little symbol that looks like an arrow made of matches that points you to the other side of the actual basement. And you'll notice that there is a secret stash on the wall, which gives you $50. So it's nice money right off the start. Again, we've covered this in a previous video, so there's nothing really new there. We've talked about what might have happened to this place, like a fire potentially burned it down, and there's a couple of other things that you can find, like premium cigarette cards, some valerian root, and a couple of provisions in here. Overall, it's a nice little find if you are just starting the game, if you're going through a second playthrough. But the real mystery here is something that I have never noticed before. And it's a series of names and dates that are inscribed on the panels of wood on the roof. And I don't know how many there are in total. I think I was able to find all of them. But it's weird, and we're going to talk about what the names are and what they could potentially mean. So I'm going to be starting from the west side of the building and working my way to the back. The first name is Sylvester Figs. Sylvester Figs or Riggs or something like that. And by the way, all of the names and dates that we look at in this video, if you feel like there's a connection or you know how to solve this mystery, you can let us know in the comments down below, or feel free to reach out to me on my Facebook page and drop me a line over there. So the first one, again, Sylvester Figs, and the date is 1853. So I'm exploring this as Arthur, so that would be in 1899. So that means that Sylvester Figs, whether that was him or someone else that inscribed his name here, that happened about 46 years ago, so almost half a century. So that's pretty crazy, and it goes to show you how long ago an event like that could have happened. Now, immediately to the right of that, there is another inscription in the wood, and I believe this name is Otis Priest. I'm not sure what the name is. They're kind of hard to see, but you can see that one is 1857. So far we've had two names. We've had Sylvester from 1853, and we've had Otis from 1857. So the only pattern that I'm noticing so far is that those seem to be guys, and they seem to be in the 1850s. But those are just the first two that we've seen so far. The next one is a little bit easier to see. It is Willis Trudel or Truddle. I'm not sure how you would pronounce his last name. And this one takes place in 1855. So far we've seen these names be inscribed 2 years apart, 1853, 1855, and 1857. And again, Willis, I would assume, is a guy's name. It could be a girl's name, but it's not like a traditional one. So far, I think we've got all guys here, and all in the 1850s. Now, moving on, the next one is very tough to see. It's on the underside of this panel here. You can see the name is either Floyd or Lloyd Merkley. Again, I'm not sure if the names are important here, but Floyd or Lloyd, their name was inscribed in 1851. So again, we're developing a little bit of a pattern here. all guys' names, and all taking place in the 1850s, 2 years apart. 1851, 3, 5, and so far 7. So again, things are getting pretty creepy here. I'm not sure what the names or the dates are supposed to mean. Now, the next one that can be found is Sidney Breese or Breeze. I'm not sure how, again, you would pronounce the name, in 1856. Now, this one is interesting because Sidney could very easily be a guy's name here. It could also very easily be a girl's name. And it's also the first time we have seen a year not ending in an odd number, 1856. But it is still close enough to the others that it's happening in the 1850s. So that's our next one. Moving on, the next one towards the very back is Clarence Hays. This one also looks like it's in 1851. So again, we're staying in the 1850s. This time Clarence, definitely more of a guy's name here for sure. So I wonder if the Sydney one was just a coincidence or if it was a guy's name. Either way, the date still very similar, happening in 1851, like one of the others that has actually happened here. This is the first time we've seen a matching date. The following one is Moses Whitby. I think that says Moses Whitby, and that happened in 1852. So our second one today with an even ending number. But again, still happening in the 1850s, and that is Moses Whitby. I'm pretty sure that Moses is definitely a guy's name. Towards the back of the cabin, we can see another one, Elmer Bellamy, in 1856. So even though that ends in an even number, 1856 is another year we have seen, and I'm pretty sure Elmer is a guy's name. So Elmer Bellamy right there towards the back. Another name on the list today is George Evatt. George Evatt. This is in 1855, so a year we've seen again. This time it's another odd number. I'm almost 99% sure that George would be a guy's name here. So I think all of them are guys if Sydney is supposed to be a guy's name in this case, which again, it can be both. So I'm assuming all males so far. And the final name that we can find is interesting because it's the only one that's not inscribed on one of the planks facing the north and south. This one's facing west and east. And it looks like his name is actually Gus Pickerel, like the fish. And this one is also in 1855. So a couple of things I've noticed here. All of them take place between 1851 and 1857. So a couple of things I've noticed is that all of them look to be guys' names. Again, Sydney's kind of the one outlier here. And all of them take place between 1851 and 1857, which would make it either 48 to 43 years before Arthur would have discovered this location. And a little bit later on, if you were to visit as John. So I've got a couple of different theories as to what's happening here. The first theory is that this is just simply like a hideout, or maybe this is where people who lived in this cabin before it ended up burning down. Now, what's interesting is they all have different last names. So I don't know about you guys, but I think it's pretty uncommon for like a lot of people with different last names to all be living under one house. You would typically associate that with a family or something like that. But who knows, maybe it was a location where multiple people stayed at a time. That's certainly not uncommon. However, what is uncommon is that all of these inscriptions are happening on the wood underneath the house, sort of in like a basement or a cellar. And to me, this sort of has like a serial killer-esque vibe going on here. Like the serial killer would inscribe the names of his victims and the year in which he had killed them. Now, we know that there is a technical serial killer already in Red Dead Redemption 2. We solved that mystery back in 2018, right when the game first came out. So I'm not sure that these are connected. In fact, I'm not sure if this is something a serial killer would even do. I am watching the second season of Mindhunter on Netflix right now, which, in case you guys are unaware, it's a show about serial killers and interviewing them. It's very fascinating. So I'm not sure if this is something a serial killer would do. They're pretty strange and interesting creatures. So who knows if they would inscribe, the names of their victims on the wood. Again, the only pattern here that we know is that it's guys in the 1850s. Now, the only other thing that could be interesting is the fact that, again, this shack, Old Trail Rise, looks like it ended up burning down. And the only thing that survived was the basement because it was made of stone. So maybe these are people that were ultimately trapped down here when the fire took place, although that is a long time to be trapped, from 1851 to 1857, and there's also no bodies down here either. You'd think if they were trapped down here, we would eventually see like bones and skeletons and stuff like that. Although that might explain why there's empty food cans and there's a little bit of food left in the cupboards and in the drawers. So those are my theories, is that these individuals were trapped. They were either the victims of a serial killer, or they just happened to live at this residence at separate times, and they wanted to basically inscribe their name at the residence at Old Trail Rise forever and immortalizing themselves with their name and date. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Again, I'm kind of on the fence about what to think here. There wasn't anything overly suspicious like blood or murder tools that indicates it's a serial killer, but the fact that it's happening in like a cellar, a basement, and the fire, that seems kind of strange. So let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. You want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and Red Dead Redemption 2 videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.